Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and today I am driving a 2013 Honda Civic. Up front is a 1.8-liter inline-4, and down below is a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Honda Civic here today because this is a very interesting period of time for the Honda Civic lineup. We will spend a lot of time talking about the fact that in 2012, they started the 9th generation of Civic. However, that is widely considered as a flop for the Honda Civic. There were a lot of issues with that car, and so for the next model year of 2013, they refreshed it. So we'll get into that here today. It's very odd, very interesting in my opinion, and I'm excited to share it with you. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 1.8-liter inline-4 under the hood. Well, it makes about 140 horsepower. It's nothing special. You're not going to be able to brag to your family about it, besides maybe the fact that it is very reliable. This car will probably outlive a lot of your family members' vehicles, so I guess you do have bragging rights there. It's a very whelming 1.8-liter. It's fine, and it does the job. Like I said, paired to it, 5-speed automatic transmission. Again, very whelming, very fine, very normal. But something to note is that it is not a CVT. So later generations, the next generation of Civic got a CVT. This still had a 5-speed, a somewhat archaic 5-speed, but it had a 5-speed, and it's pretty reliable as well. So that is something to note. Last but not least, this generation of Honda Civic is front-wheel drive, as they all have been. How does it feel to drive the Honda Civic from 2013? It's very simple and basic. There's nothing really of note about it. It's not special or interesting. The ride quality is fine. We will talk about that a little bit later on. But visibility is good. Throttle response is okay. It's just this very run-of-the-mill. When you think of an automobile, this is what you picture. It's bread and butter. That's what this car is. All reliable, which is a good thing in my opinion. But with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, up in front of me, we do have our digital speedometer, MPG gauge, and fuel gauge. It has this two-tiered system that is very, very interesting. I also get these colored lights on the sides of the speedometer that show green when you're cruising normally, but if you start to actually use more gas, they actually turn blue to remind you that, hey, you're not driving as efficiently as you could. Down below that, we get our secondary gauge cluster for the tachometer and what gear we are in. On the steering wheel, on the left, we have our information button, as well as our source, skip track, and volume. Phone options to the bottom left, and then we have our cruise control options to the right. Off to the left of the steering wheel, we have a climate control vent. We have our econ button, as well as traction control off. And moving on to the door, we have our latch to get in and out, power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving up into the center to the right of the upper gauge cluster, I know that's quite a mouthful, we do have a little information screen. So this does give you fuel and MPG, but you can also select a blank screen, a clock, or this operates as your backup camera. So this does have a standard backup camera from Honda. Very, very nice to see for 2013, and it works well enough, albeit it's a little small. Moving down the center, we do have a climate control vent with the hazard switch. We have an aftermarket Kenwood radio. This is not the original radio. And then we have our climate controls. Single zone climate, fan speed off to the right, temperature off to the left, where to send it in the middle. Very, very simple. We do get a little cubby down below, as well as our aux and 12-volt outlet, shifter in the center, parking brake off to the left, and cup holders to the right. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test in the 2013 Honda Civic. And unfortunately it fails. It goes down a little bit, but it doesn't sit flat. It moves around and falls over while driving. So it's not a pass, but I will say these are pretty adequate cup holders. Then we get a center console in the seats. The seats are cloth. They are comfortable, however, so I've been enjoying that. I like this. This era of cloth is where I start to dislike it a little bit. The cloth just feels a lot cheaper. This still has somewhat of an early 2000s feel to it, but if you go much past 2013 with cloth seats, they are going to feel more and more and more cheap. But they're comfortable enough holding me within the car, and that's all I can ask for. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, getting to the back of the 2013 Honda Civic. close it up here. And there you go. Nothing really too crazy or interesting, but my knees do fit. I get nothing here on the center console. The same cloth carries on, very nondescript, very lame and boring. We do have a center console with cup holders in it. And sitting normally, my hair is coming close to the ceiling. I'm very, very close. 5'11", not a small guy, and I'm coming close to the ceiling. So height-wise, it's not fantastic, you know, especially if you're going to be 6 foot, 6'4", 6'8", you know, you're not going to fit back here very well. If you're 6'8", I'm not sure many cars that you'll fit in the back seat of, but point being, it's fine back here. I'm a bigger guy, I would say bigger than most usually, and I fit okay enough. Is this where I want to spend 12 hours driving here to Denver? Not really, but if I had to, I would do it. So, you know, that's the case here. Again, nothing interesting. We have some material here on the door. We do have power windows, which is very, very nice. But other than that, that's really it. Let's take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. Right around the back of the Honda Civic, we do have a button here on the key fob to release the trunk. Pull this up here, and there you go. Obviously, the owner likes his music, and so he has put that in. But other than that, obviously, you could tell tons and tons of space for other additives back here. Great cargo space in the back of the Civic. I've always praised the Civic for this. I assume I will always praise the Civic for good cargo space. And obviously, you can fit quite the sound system back here and still have some room for groceries. I just wouldn't recommend listening to any Skrillex while you have eggs back here, because you might come home to an omelet. But that's besides the point. There you go. That is the rear trunk space of the 2013 Honda Civic. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I really like the look of this Civic. I think they did a fantastic job. I love the honeycomb grille and the wheels, and just the overall proportions of this Civic I think work really, really well. It's handsome, it's dignified, and it doesn't look like a clown car pulling up to the function, which is always a nice attribute to have for an automobile. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the 2013 Honda Civic? It's fine. It's a good car. It's been very reliable for the owner. It's very good at being a car. And I know that might sound silly, but some cars are not good at being cars. This is not a fashion statement. This is not an accessory. This is not a toy. This is just a mode of transportation, and it is a gosh darn good one at that. So, in all of the respects, if you're looking to buy one, whatever, this is great. You're going to make a good decision, and I'm very happy with it. However, I do want to talk about Honda here for a second. So in 2012, they debuted the 9th generation Honda Civic. They had just come off the 8th generation Civic, which is probably my favorite generation of Civic. It's absolutely wonderful, especially the Type R of that generation is one of the best driving cars I think I've ever driven. The Civic SIs that we got here in the States that were 8th gens are blissful and wonderful, and even the standard car was good and fun to drive. So when they debuted the 2012 Honda Civic, the all-new 9th generation, it fell flat. The interior felt and was pretty cheap. The dynamics of the car were not great. It had gained a lot of weight, and it felt cheap, and it wasn't fun to drive anymore. And so for 2012, it released to pretty bad reviews. Now, in the grand scheme of things, would I take a 2012 Honda Civic or a 2012 Kia or Hyundai product? I would still take the Civic every single day. But in terms of the Civic's lineage, it was quite the downgrade. And so Honda was able to pivot for the 2013 model year and already offer the vehicle with a refresh. They redesigned the front and rear bumpers. They redesigned the interior. They put more soft touch materials in the interior as opposed to the hard, cheap plastics of the 2012. They redid the suspension. They redid the chassis. They were able to bring to market in only a few months a very major overhaul of the Honda Civic. And I don't think Honda gets enough credit for that because that's quite the amazing feat, but they do get credit in the fact that almost no one brings it up. No one even mentions the fact that the 2012 Civic was a big flop and downgrade in the lineage because it's Honda. Honda messes up, but very, very few and far between. And so I think that there's a lesson in there for all of us. There's a lesson for me in there that I need to keep in mind as I go throughout my day. And that's the fact that no one thinks about Honda as a flop or bad company. Even nowadays, they had some oil dilution issues in their 1.5 liters, but they fixed it. And now Honda is back to being that reliable company. And so it just goes to show that you can stumble. You can have a mess up. You can screw up several times. But as long as you wake up every day and you try to be a good person, you try to do the right things, people are going to consider you a good person because you are a good person. I've done things in my past that I'm not proud of. Yeah, I've gotten mad in traffic and yelled some things that I regret. I've said some things to people that I shouldn't have. I've embarrassed myself. I have struggled with things emotionally, physically, what have you. But those little screw-ups, those little hiccups, those little moments don't define you as a person. If you owe a lot of money right now, that doesn't define you. Now, if you spend the next 40 years of your life owing everyone and trying to rob Peter to pay Paul, that's going to define you. It's the long term, the longevity that ends up being your story, not singular moments like in movies. I don't think anyone is going to remember me from one single video, but people are going to remember my channel for thousands of many videos across many different cars, topics, makes, and models. And that's the case here with Honda. Honda messed up. They messed up the 2012 Civic. They pulled way too much money out of it. They didn't give it the right research and design that it required. They screwed up. But because they were able to fix it, because they kept at it, because they wouldn't let the Civic drown in the negative comments, no one remembers it and no one thinks about it. And their legacy is still about reliability. Their legacy is still about quality. Their legacy is still about great little affordable, economical, reliable cars. Even though the 2012 wasn't that. It was just a bump in the road. It was just a hiccup. If you hit a pothole in a town, you don't say, wow, this town is really bad. But if every single street, every single waking moment, if every single drive, you're bottoming out your suspension, that's when the suspicions rise. And so yes, this is a car review, but maybe it's a therapy session for myself. Just because I screwed up 10 years ago doesn't make me a bad person. Because I might not be on my best behavior tomorrow doesn't make me a bad person. It's patterns and history that end up making something good or bad. Honda's still a great company. They're a wonderful company. Some of the best to build automobiles. They screwed up, they fixed it, and got on with it. And I think we can all take a little bit of that home with us here today. The 2013 is a massive, massive improvement over 2012. They did it. They achieved their goal, and they did it in such little time. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Will for letting me borrow his Honda Civic for today's video. Will has been absolutely wonderful. I have reviewed dozens of cars from him over the years. He's always a wonderful help to the channel, always a good hang, and I appreciate him very, very much. But I appreciate you guys watching the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.